Most founders look at successful activewear brands the wrong way. They look at the types of products that they created. They look at the fabrics that they use. They look at the colors that they have. They look at the cadence of their drops, the website, photo shoot, but ultimately they're missing the mark. The better way to look at brands and learn from them is not just to copy what they're doing. It's to understand why brands have changed the industry and how you can learn from that shift and what they did to change the industry and how you can implement it as well. We look at some of the biggest brands in the industry over the last 50 years, and we will take a look at how they changed sportswear fundamentally, starting from Champion all the way to On, where Champion made sportswear feel almost less like a utility, purely functional product to a daily uniform. Nike took that a step further and made sportswear emotional. Lululemon made activewear a daily part of your life. Gymshark made activewear a community. And On made the technology that makes sportswear so functional visible and immediately in your face. And that's what matters. It's not just what these brands made, it's what they understood about the sportswear industry and where it was heading before everyone else. Because if you're building an activewear brand today, the goal is not simply to copy the surface level actions of brand XYZ. It's to understand those major shifts and to help predict what the next one is going to be and to be ahead of the game so that you can benefit from it when the time comes. So without further ado, my name is Shadi Adada. I'm the co-founder and creative director of FittDesign, the world's first sportswear design agency. And over the last 10 years, we've helped thousands of brands go from an idea to a physical product in under 30 days. So I know a thing or two about different brands and their strategy. And we've worked with brands doing tens, if not hundreds of millions of dollars a year. And what I've seen from these brands is that they simply don't just look at what exists in the market and copy paste. They look for shifts in consumer behavior and they get ahead of those shifts before they happen. Starting off with Champion made sportswear a uniform. Before sportswear became lifestyle, fashion, community, content, it had to perform a much simpler job. It simply had to be useful, and Champion was at the forefront of this. Champion helped shape that idea of sportswear early. They created things like sweatshirts, hoodies, teamwear, training clothes, college athletics, and they were at the forefront of this. The value wasn't in that the product felt flashy or modern or different. It was that product itself became dependable. That you knew that you could put on a Champion sweatshirt and that it was going to keep you warm, that it was going to perform with you, the seams were going to hold up. You were able to put on a pair of Champion shorts and you were going to have the mobility that you needed to go for your run. This is where the value was, is in that it was dependable. You could train in it, you could travel in it, you could throw it on without having to think, which was very different for clothing at the time, where clothing was very one-dimensional. You could pretty much only wear your suit to the office, or you could only wear your evening nightgown to sleep, or you could only wear your casual t-shirt just at home. Sportswear was really versatile, and it allowed customers to go and do the heavy-duty things that they needed to confidently. And a lot of new activewear brands want the first product to feel exciting, and they think that that's the way to get into the consumer's heart. They want a bold campaign, they want to have unique details, they want the product that gets attention. But the product that builds the real consumer behavior is often going to be the product that people are going to repeat wearing. It's the hoodie that they keep wearing. It's the t-shirt that they put as their favorite t-shirt and they wear repeatedly on a trip. It's the top that they grab every single time they want something dependable. It's the legging that they have to buy again in another color because it just fits right. Champion's lesson isn't necessarily about just being basic. It's about being useful enough to get and earn the right to be familiar. And familiarity in consumer products is extremely powerful. Because when a customer is going to consistently reach for your product week after week, your brand becomes part of their lifestyle. And what you as a startup brand can learn from this is that you don't just need to ask, where can my product stand out? Ask instead, how can my product become the customer's default? Like, how can I design this product in a way where my customer would wear it twice, 3 times a week? What would they want for them to feel confident reordering? What would happen if this disappeared ultimately? A strong brand doesn't always start with the loudest product or the flashiest concept. It starts with a product that quietly becomes a part of your customer's life and something that they can't live without. Next up, we have Nike, and Nike did something essential. They made sportswear emotional in the customer's mind, and this changed the industry in a completely different way. Nike didn't just sell sportswear as raw equipment. It sold the belief that you could just do it. It sold that a shoe could be more than just a shoe. A jersey wasn't just a jersey. Training clothes were not just clothes. They weren't just pieces of fabric sewn together. Nike connected sportswear to ambition, discipline, identity, and the feeling of striving to become better. That changed everything because now they were tying their product to something that went beyond just the efficacy and the quality of the raw materials. Because sportswear is never only about the product. It's also about what the customer feels about themselves and what they think about themselves when they wear it. When someone puts on a pair of running shoes, training gear, or a full workout outfit, for example, they're often stepping into a version of themselves that they want to become. More disciplined, more serious, more aesthetic, more athletic, more confident. And Nike understood that that's what customers were doing. But this is also where a lot of new brands get it wrong. They want to copy that emotional language without earning that emotional language. They say confidence, they say things like performance, they say things like strength, discipline. But the product and the content don't work if the customer experience with the product doesn't support those words. Nike worked because at the end of the day, the athletes, the campaigns, and the messages all lived up to the hype when the customer received the product. They all lived within the same world. The emotion wasn't separated from the product. It was connected to it, and Nike continuously innovated and has continued to innovate for the last 40 years through their product categories, understanding that the way to get and spike that emotionality is by delivering. And where startup brands can learn is, don't just start with a slogan and expect that to resonate with customers. Start with the customer feeling. Ask yourself, what do I want the customer to feel when they wear this? Do I want them to feel prepared, confident, focused, strong, comfortable in their own body? Then design and develop your product from the fabric to the fit to the construction to the aesthetic to back that up. If your brand says performance, the product needs performance proof. If your brand says confidence, the fit, the coverage, and the comfort need to support that. If the brand says discipline, the product should be made to feel real and should support your real training moments. The lesson from Nike is not just simply to copy Nike. The lesson is that the product and the emotion you're trying to target need to match. Number 3 is Lululemon, and Lululemon made activewear a part of your daily life. And they changed the logic of why we buy activewear. The product was originally designed for yoga, but it wasn't only for yoga. It became something that customers, or the Supergirl as Chip Wilson would call her, could wear before class, after class, while running errands, while traveling, and just simply throughout the day. That shift for customers was massive because it changed how customers justify the purchase. If the product was only useful for a workout, the customer judges it only in that way. But if the product can allow customers to move through the day, the value that they're getting out of it feels and is extremely different. They get more wear, more use, more reasons to buy, and more reasons to own the product than just owning one piece. And this ultimately helped the activewear feel more than just part of your sportswear wardrobe. It helped it to feel part of your lifestyle wardrobe and not just something that you put away in a gym drawer for a high performance day. Today, this feels obvious because the majority of brands tout themselves as the bridge between performance and lifestyle. But at the time, it changed the category. The customer was no longer asking themselves, can I train in this? The customer then started to ask themselves, can I live in this? Can I work in this? Can I eat in this? Can I actually be in this? And that one question changed the industry. Because when activewear becomes a part of your life, in the daily life, it has to perform more than just one function. It has to feel good in motion. It had to look good on workouts, outdoors, indoors. It had to fit into the customer's routine and their day-to-day habits. So what startup brands can learn from this is, don't just define your product by one activity. That one dimensionality is left in the past. Define it by the customer's day. Where does the customer wear it before the workout? Where can she go or he go after the workout? Can it work in the car? Can it work at the airport on a walk? Can it work at home, at a school pickup, at a work from home, at a coffee shop? This doesn't necessarily mean that every single activewear brand needs to become lifestyle obsessed and lifestyle focused, but every founder should understand the full use case. A product is stronger when it fits into the customer's real life scenario and not just into the photo shoot. This is the practical lesson, because the real moments that your product belongs to, and the more of those real moments, the easier it is for the customer to justify wearing it. Number 4, Gymshark made the customer part of the brand. They brought the customer from the outside to the inside. And this is fundamentally how Gymshark changed the industry in the internet era. It didn't grow like the older sportswear giants that simply went for retail distribution. They went for wholesale and then they IPO'd. Gymshark did it a completely different way. It grew inside the fitness culture first and foremost. They connected with creators, YouTubers, Instagram. They built gyms, they had gym communities, pop-up shops. They connected with a younger audience that wanted to see people who looked like them and trained like them connect and wear the clothing that they aspired to. Gymshark understood something very important, that activewear needs proof first and foremost. Customers want to see the product on real bodies. They want to see how it moves. They want to see it in training. They want to see the product from the culture that it claims to serve. This is what Gymshark did phenomenally well, is that they took the product and they position it as if it's being spoken of and proved inside of the community. And the brand lesson here isn't just to use influencers. That's way too shallow and everyone does it. The real lesson is alignment, to make sure that the product, the creator, the customer, and the culture all match together. And a creator isn't just about showing clothing. This is where product context comes into play. We are showing that the product belongs into an environment that the customer can connect to. Gymshark put their clothing with real people, in real scenarios, in real settings, and it showed you first and foremost how it could look on you. And what startup brands can learn from this is that you don't just want to use creators only because they have reach. When you're working with an influencer, it's not about the most impressions. It's about connecting with the people that speak to your brand and that help to make your product easier to understand. If your brand is for runners, then you connect with people who actually run, who are actually disciplined. If your brand is for lifters, then connect with lifters that actually lift. If your brand is for modest activewear, then work with women who genuinely care about coverage and modesty. If your brand is for lifestyle activewear, then work with people whose daily routines match that customer avatar. A good creator is going to give your product context, and a bad creator is going to give you attention but with no trust. And ultimately that doesn't convert. The difference here matters. The lesson from Gymshark isn't in influencer marketing. The lesson is to build the customer's world and then put your product inside it, not outside of it. Last but not least, On made the product technology easier to recognize. And On is one of the best examples of this in the modern sportswear world, because they did something very hard and something that takes a lot of marketing dollars to achieve. They made the product technology understandable, not by educating and by running more ads to explain the intricacies of the product technology. They simply made it visible. They made the most technical feature of the shoe visible and immediately understandable. The customer might read about technology on a product page, but they don't always remember them. They may not even have the time to go through what makes a product unique. You may go down to a store and you may get educated by a store educator, but ultimately there's only so many educators to go around. And if the educator themselves isn't well versed in what makes the product special, then they may even deliver the wrong information. The CloudTech sole became an instantly recognizable signature because the shoe looked different, the technology had a name that they could recognize, and the product had a clear reason to exist. And that matters because in a crowded market, customers need something that they can immediately recognize and also remember. Not just a logo, not just a color, not just a vague performance claim. A product idea. Something that On gives people that someone else doesn't. You can look at the shoe and immediately understand that something specific is happening in the sole region. Whether someone is deeply technical or not, they can see that the product itself has a point of view and it's different. This is very, very valuable because it's the product itself being out in public and the feature itself that does the marketing for you. Because many activewear brands struggle because they have no recognizable product idea. They make leggings, bras, shorts, but nothing that the product makes or has to make the product feel ownable and distinct from the competition. Nothing becomes a code that customers can read and decipher immediately what that means. Nothing that makes customers come back and choose your brand time and time again. On's lesson is that a strong product should do more than just sound impressive. It should be easy to see, easy to explain, and easy to remember. And if possible, it should be an element that's repeatable across the brand. And with shoes, that signature sole was very simple to replicate across a wide variety of their shoes. So what startup brands can understand and learn here is you need to ask yourself, would our customers still know that this is our brand if our logo disappeared? What is the detail that allows them to know us inside out? Is it a fit detail? Is it a waistband construction? Is it a support feature, a pocket system? Is it a coverage solution? Is it a shape, a closure? Is it a styling function? Is it a specific product role? This doesn't mean just adding random details into your product to look different. That's just going to increase your COGS and going to make your product way more complex than it needs to be. A product that you add a detail specifically should pass 3 tests. Number 1, you should ask yourself, does it improve the product? 2, does the customer understand it quickly? And then 3, can the brand repeat it in a way that becomes instantly recognizable? If the answer is yes to all 3, then you have more than just a standard feature. You have a brand code. And in activewear, brand codes matter because this is what makes the product recognizable and gives customers something to remember. The pattern that we see across all 5 brands is when you make something recognizable, functional, emotional, practical, this is where you actually get into your customer's psyche, and that's where you maintain the interest long term. So with Champion, they made sportswear dependable. Nike made it emotional. Lululemon made it a part of our day-to-day lifestyle. Gymshark made it a part of our community. And On made the technology and the features instantly recognizable. Each brand changed the industry in a different way. And this is the point. They didn't all do the same thing. They won big by understanding the next customer shift before it became extremely obvious. So if you're looking to get ahead, and you want to identify the next shift that's going to make sense for your niche, your domain, then you can check the link in the description to apply to work with us one-on-one. And we can help you go from an idea to a physical product in 30 to 35 days. And we'll put together a production roadmap for you within 5 minutes of you filling in your form and guide you on what it would take. Guys, and I say this from the very bottom of my heart, thank you so much for tuning in to this episode of Fit Design TV. Until next week's episode, stay awesome.